I was raised in a Christian home. My parents took us to church ever since I was born. We've been going. And I was 5 years old when I prayed the prayer for salvation. And after that, I was baptized. And then it wasn't until later in life that I kind of really started to think why it was I was going to church. Like, why did I keep going week after week now that I was old enough probably to make that decision on my own whether or not I wanted to go. So when I started thinking about it, the answer that I came up with kind of disappointed me, I guess, because it basically came down to I wanted to see my friends. I liked the songs that they sang. You know, sometimes they sang my favorite songs, and that was fun. And I enjoyed the Bible lessons or stories that were taught and the sermons, but coming away from it, I mean, I wasn't changed. Nothing really spoke to me or made me want to do anything differently in my weekly life. So I realized that, you know, back when I was 5, I probably really didn't know what I was doing, I guess, like what it really meant to be saved. So I spent the next couple of years reading a ton of books, trying to answer all these questions that I had, and trying to figure out how, if I knew that, you know, I mean, I knew that Jesus came and he lived a perfect life, was mocked and suffered and was murdered for me on a cross, and then he rose again. I know all of that, and it was all up in my head, but I couldn't figure out how to make it come down to where my heart really understood that. And so there was like this disconnect, and I didn't know how to fix that. So around the time that I was trying to read all these different books to answer all the questions that I had, I met Jake, who, as we were dating, we talked a lot about our faith and our spiritual journeys. And just in talking back and forth, I realized that he had something that I didn't have. And I knew that I really wanted to have that too. So, you know, after that, the next couple of years, I just thinking back on that, like, what was that thing? And I realized that it was his actual relationship with Christ. And it went back to the fact that I would say that I had a relationship, but I didn't spend time in his word. I didn't spend time in conversation, in opening up, and letting God shape me and mold me and just get to know him better. In 2010, I was out on a walk with Jake, and once again we were discussing Jesus and our faith and where we each were, what we had been learning, and we finished our walk, and then we got back in his car to head home, and we just were continuing our conversation before we actually left. And I just realized at that moment, do I really want to go one more day not knowing my fate, not knowing like where I would end up if I died that night or the next day, and what was the real reason that I wasn't willing to give my life to Christ? And I think it was a trust issue at the heart of it. I, up until then, was having a very hard time trusting God with my life, with just believing that he really wanted the best for me. That was the night that I finally was like, okay, am I going to keep going through my life being in control when I mean, really, there's nothing that I have control of at all. Like, I can't stop, this car from crashing into mine. I can't stop lightning from striking at a certain place. But God can, and it doesn't mean that things are always going to be great, but I know if I'm in His hands, then that's the safest place that I can be. So that night, with Christ, convicting me, I was able to finally surrender my life to Him. And Jake was there, and we prayed, and then prayed together, and that was a big defining moment in my life.